Hey y'all, welcome back to Conscientious Cosmos with Aubrielle. Thank you for tuning in for another video. I appreciate y'all being here, new viewers and previous viewers as well. Thank you to all who have subscribed and are continuing with me on this journey of exploring the cosmos and present transits and, historical lore, all of those fun things. So, today we're going to be talking about Jupiter's year-long transit through the sign of Cancer. And it is a really exciting transit, especially if you're going to be using this from a growth mindset and inner work perspective. It will be extremely beneficial if you work with it in the ways that you need to, based off of where Jupiter is within your chart, based off of where Cancer is within your chart, especially, and other Jupiter ruled signs like Sagittarius as well. So we'll start off with a little bit of a comparison with what Gemini, Jupiter and Gemini was, and what we saw through that year-long transit was, from a worldly perspective, more literature, short distance travel, learning opportunities, and expansive thinking, since Gemini covers thought and Jupiter is higher learning as well. So what we also found from collectively from a shadow work perspective was like changes in the media landscape, and it meant that a lot of people were receiving their news differently and sometimes in unreliable ways. A lot of disinformation was rampant, and it challenged a lot of people's abilities to discern what's real and what's not. So that aside, that's the collective way of thinking about this. You can consider yourself a part of the collective and being swept up in what that looks like, or you could consider yourself a free thinker that Gemini kind of usually is, and somebody that's willing to be different from somebody else and kind of stand out from the crowd, even though that might not typically be associated with Gemini, considering it's a mutable sign, it's an air sign. It usually takes on the qualities of its environment. It's a really good chameleon. But behind closed doors or with oneself, Gemini placements, especially where it is Gemini suns, Gemini in the first house, Gemini in the ninth house, dealing with your beliefs and things like that, it would mean that you kind of deviate from the norm. You definitely do. I can attest to this. I have Gemini in my first house, and that has been one of my biggest strengths in learning growing up, applying this growth mindset, doing the inner work. It's been like, you should not always be a chameleon in times that it's not beneficial, if that makes sense. Like, there is a time to stand your own ground, and that can be a hard thing for air placements to grasp, because you're working with that element of air. So you kind of have to formulate that in your own way. And I think that was really running rampant with Jupiter and Gemini, because Jupiter is this really big planet. It's very expansive. It's composed of mainly gases and helium. So that helium aspect, again, it brings the challenge of the ability to discern what's real or what's not. And I think that just goes for wherever Jupiter is in your chart. So all of a sudden my dog wants to come in here. Okay. Come on, girl. Hey, girl. So, yeah. But with Jupiter in Cancer, you're going to get a completely different effect, especially when you're working with it from that aspect of like, I'm ready to level up. I'm ready to like shed what is no longer working for me. wherever Jupiter is within your chart, or also wherever Jupiter is aspecting in your chart, or wherever Cancer is aspecting as well. Sorry, wherever Cancer is aspecting as well. I will find a way to put up some links to resources that will show you, or maybe I'll come out with a video of this, of how the houses aspect each other no matter where they are. Where are your squares, where are your oppositions, where are your sextiles, um, things like that, semi-sextiles, all of that. So Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. That's why I mentioned the benefic qualities as well. There is an understanding within astrology that some planets behave as benefic, so they're beneficial to you, like Jupiter, Venus, the Sun as well sometimes. And there are planets and signs that act as malefics. That would be your Mars, that would be Pluto, that would be, I'm thinking of one other. In terms of a sign aspect, it would be Gemini. So think again, Jupiter and Gemini was moving through malefic qualities. So again, the shadow side of it, but always apply the growth mindset. There's always a time to apply a growth mindset, a way to level up within every situation. I don't think that it's a choice. It's a choice to um, lean in and stay within the shadow side of oneself, within the shadow side of the world. That is not how great civilizations were built. They were not built on shadow sides. They were built on what great things can we accomplish on our own and together. So um, it's going to be a lot easier to do something like that when Jupiter is in Cancer. So again, more ease, more beneficial qualities, joy, abundance, which is abundance is expansion. That's what Jupiter is, period. So when it's in Cancer, you see this desire to nurture, kind of thrives, caring for others, caring for yourself, um, caring for wherever Cancer is within your chart, whether it be your first, third, fourth, fifth, 11th, or 12th house, and what planets are in there. And do use it as an opportunity to fill your cup up first and then give from overflow. That would be the advice that I would give myself during this transit, because that's when I noticed I feel the most joy is when I'm taken care of first, and then I can pour even more into other people. And then if there's ever a time where that depletion comes in, then we take a step back, we refill, we regroup, we re-nurture ourselves, and then we go out to do that for other people. So if you're taking care of a loved one who's in medical need or things like that, or even just supporting family in general, those dynamics, it's really heightened and expanded more so with the sign of Cancer, since that's what it rules over. It rules over mothering qualities, family dynamics, home life. The natural house that Cancer resides in, considering it's the fourth sign in the zodiac, is the fourth house, which is representative of home and family life. Again, family dynamics, what isn't necessarily seen by other people. So again, that really taking in your emotional state as well as being one of the qualities that you want to nurture and pour into during this transit that will last until for a very long time, for a very long time, for a whole year, until June of next year. So yes, I don't really recommend not giving from, I don't recommend giving from an empty cup, essentially. It should be very easy during this transit to notice what areas of um, of your personal self, what is within you, your emotional state, your needs, your financial needs, your educational needs, since Jupiter is dealing with higher learning, um, that sort of thing, educating on finances, educating yourself on your, emotional awareness and things like that. It's really going to get you to that next level of being able to live the life that you want to live. I think everybody's searching for that in their own way, and sometimes we just need to get out of our own way. So that is another thing I'll mention with Cancer as a sign, is that, like the actual, crabs themselves, they some species of them, they will shed their skin in preparation to grow even more. That's also a part of its exaltation within Jupiter, is that, you know, I don't know how often this happens, but crabs do shed their skin in order to expand. So think of what needs to be shed within your life. It could be limiting beliefs. That's something that Jupiter is very much tied to, considering its uh, characteristic and ruling over like higher learning. Um, and that can be like through college, or just learning more, or from a religious standpoint as well too. It can mean that. So not necessarily religion, but it can be like spiritual elevation, spiritual exaltation as well. So um, yeah, again, checking in with those limiting beliefs, see what needs to be shed in order for you to expand and grow. um, you could be thinking of wise investments that should be made during this time. Wise investments, again, within yourself first and foremost, but also wherever Cancer is within your chart. So I would recommend looking up where Cancer is within your chart, what that house, characteristics are, and how Cancer acts within that house, and how whatever planets act within that house as well. And then you'll start to see, oh, okay, this is where I can start to make those wise investments, and you'll start to see results quick. And especially if you're working with it during this transit, it will come with more ease and abundance and flow, with Cancer being a water sign as well. And I do mention investments, especially regarding money as well. That's something that Cancer, as a water sign, that I mentioned in my water video, kind of dictates, because water is the current, it's currency, energetically as well. It's meant to flow, it's meant to be moving through certain things, so it's not meant to be stagnant. So it is important. Move your money towards those wise investments, and you'll start to see an overflow in that as well. So investing in your education, investing in stocks, in bonds, in appreciating assets, that would, and I'm not saying that you need to do that. It could also just be a savings account as well, a high dividend savings account. um, but you also might see that within the world as well. A lot more people within your life may be making those kinds of investments. And learn from those people. This is about creating community and creating tighter knit communities. So why not do that with people that are also working to get to that next level, not people that are, people pleasing. I think that can be a shadow side of Cancer, is like nurturing too much and being like momta energy, or like kind of mammy energy. Like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. So if we can, avoid it at all costs, especially if there are younger people listening to me right now. Believe me, like, pour into your communities, but do not pour from an empty cup. And that is my true experienced advice. I think that will save you a lot of hurt in the future. Um, so during this transit, what I've noticed in the last month as well, that is just, you know, true for a lot of people. It can mean that you're bringing family members home, or family is visiting a lot. Um, Parents could be moving in, needing assistance with daily living and things like that. And I have noticed that within my life, within other people's lives as well. I was just at a kids' party that was very abundant and very fun and joyous and happy, which I think is just a lovely thing um, for this transit. And that the home that I was at, the people were building an add-on to their home for the husband's parents who needed assistance with daily living because they are, the elderly. And I think that that's something that's that Jupiter quality. And of course, the Cancerian quality of family in general is like it's intergenerational. It's not just the mother, it's not just the kids, it's the father, it's the grandparents, it's the extended family, it's the aunts and the uncles, it's even your ancestors as well, from a spiritual understanding that Jupiter brings. It's more than what's on this plane. So, um, and rather than just thinking about this kind of abundance and expansion that you might have experienced with Jupiter and Gemini, the cardinal aspect of Cancer that I also explained in my previous videos where I talked about Cancer, do watch those if you want more information. I would recommend that. Um, the cardinal aspect of Cancer is going to put action behind the things that you're creating. Again, that's a Cancerian quality, is creation, being the the sign of that's ruled by the moon. That's also something to look at as well. Look at your moon sign and how Jupiter or Cancer is aspecting your moon sign. Um, the moon, it has its significations with the mother that creates the child and all of that. So any art projects, business projects, could also just be creating new habits, new routines. That's also a signification with the moon, since it's ever changing. It's about those habitual needs that are going to fluctuate and flow and have that energy behind it. So rather than sitting around and hoping and thinking for security, that cardinality says make it happen. Create the habits that are going to help exalt that even further. And, again, it's the whole thing of like treating it like a mantra. You would do it for 21 days straight, and then you'll start to see it, root itself even more. And that's it. That's it. I'm giving myself that advice as well, because that's something that I'm working towards with this astrology business, with the other projects that I have in my life. And, I'm really, 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 you know, um, rooting myself into what is necessary to get to that next level. So it could look like investing in my education that's going to get me to that next level of higher learning, Jupiter. So make it happen. Don't be afraid. Shed those limiting beliefs that are stopping you from creating the appropriate habits that to get you to your dreams. I think it's very important to not ignore our dreams, and we're having them for a reason, especially the dreams that are going to be getting us to that next level. I think everybody in some way has that in their mind, especially from the lens of money. Point blank period, and security. That's really what is, exchanged for money, is that security, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So instead of hoping for that and sitting around, make it happen, because it will pour back into you tenfold for sure. Again, during this transit of expansion, things like that. So um, creating the right habits, that could mean holding back on certain investments, you know, um, putting money into savings more habitually. It could mean not going out and spending money on things that aren't um, necessary for your expansion and your needs. And I'm totally thinking of myself right now. I've definitely held back, and a lot of my investments that I've made have been for the sake of the businesses that I am building. And I know, because I have this faith and trust in my gut and my intuition, that Cancer is a signification of, since it rules over the stomach, that will be returned tenfold, 11-fold, 12-fold, as long as I keep um, pouring in just like a passion for it, and belief into it, and a nurturing around that. So that's what I mean by frugality, yes. So it could also mean growing your own food, buying, investing in a plot at a community garden, or starting a community garden with your friends or your family or your community, mending rather than buying new, which I think is important in this realm of fast fashion. If you got it, you got it. But if you can mend it, do it. Take it to a tailor if you want, or learn a new skill. um, Tending to home improvement projects, installing different systems that are going to help um, formulate that security even more. And yeah, just get thrifty and keep adding to things that are going to be appreciating assets, like your savings account, um, your home if it's paid off, that sort of thing. So, in regards to retrograde, since this is a very long transit, it will also last for a very long time, but that's nothing to worry about. Considering retrogrades are really just a time to check in, it's not necessarily going to put a pause on some things. It might slow it down, but it's for good reason since they happen outside of our control, anyways. It's not something to run from, it's something to embrace. We always need that time of reflection and being like, okay, what's working, what's not. So, Jupiter stations retrograde on November 11th, and it lasts until March 10th of next year, 2026. So, it's a time to ask yourself, like, how are you growing? Are your goals coming along the way that you want? Is it time for an entirely new plan, or is it time to just shed some limiting beliefs on this plan to get to that next level, continue growing? Do I need to refit certain pieces of the puzzle? Because sometimes things can happen with outside of our control. So I think that this is the cardinal aspect of Cancer is going to help that adaptability instead of just being in the like kind of shadow side of the mutable aspect. The higher self aspect of mutability is like, you can just continue on no matter the circumstances. But I think the difference between cardinal and mutable from a higher learning aspect and a growth mindset would be that you can just, again, you can either just become the situation, or like from an air quality as well, just like become it and be enveloped by it and still shine through it, or you can be more like adaptable. I'm just thinking of an obstacle course right now. Like that's cardinal signs to me. Like they'll just boop, 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 get to that next level that serves them the most and serves their situation, their goals, the people that are affected by them as well, to the best of their ability, because you don't want to, it's not a good feeling to feel like you're stuck, essentially. So, this cardinal Jupiter in Cancer, it's kind of, it's going to give you that. We already did the hard thinking with Jupiter and Gemini, but now you get to add the action behind it and actually, finish that obstacle course. Think of Mario Kart. You're gonna get to the end and get the treasure or whatnot. Final boss mode for sure. Um, and also the retrograde will help you tap back into like, where do I need to scale back or level up? What do family, home, and security mean to you during this time? And yeah, it's just use it to the best of your abilities. Like I mentioned, see where Jupiter is within your chart, where Cancer is within your chart, which house, how Jupiter acts within that house, how Cancer acts within that house, how it interacts with those planets. This is information that is all out there. I'm just here talking about it. I wouldn't just rely on me. Sometimes it's even more helpful when you go out there and do the research on your own. I would not recommend using social media. I would use PDFs and any search engine like Google or Firefox and find articles from um, different perspectives of astrology, because you don't want to take just one. That's wouldn't be fair to the cosmological aspect of astrology, considering it covers everything. Again, I say astrology is atomical. It's in every, particle everywhere. It's everything everywhere all at once. So allow your mind to be expansive, especially during this Jupiter and Cancer transit, and you will see the benefits come in for sure. For sure. So I just want to say thank you guys for joining me for this video. I will be back with another one very soon. Say bye, Oreo. He's sleeping. But yeah, I had so much fun, and thank you so much for being here. I will link down my email below if you have any questions. I will link down my Calendly, and you can sign up for a session where I could actually, instead of you going out and doing this research, I would be able to, just give you that research and knowledgeable background of where Jupiter is within your chart, where Cancer is within your chart. And it doesn't have to be these planets, it can be any transit, it could be any placement, it could be any sign. So I'll link my Calendly down below, and I have options of different sessions that you can book with me, different readings that you can book with me. And yes, I hope that you guys are doing well. Peace and many blessings, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.